spirit. It's one of the 7 irrefutable laws of power. Now, for a lot of people, this might mean something different. It might mean a religious idea or some sort of spiritual idea or some kind of connection with divine. It doesn't have to mean that. It can mean that from lots of things for lots of different people. Now, in the context of what we're creating here, of this series, when I talk about spirit, I'm not necessarily talking about anything religious, although that could be that for you. What I'm talking about is the ability to go within and hear that inner voice and hear that inner dialogue. We live in a noisy world, and I happen to think that this chaos and this noise and all this movement that we have is a reflection of a noisy inner world. That when people are at war with themselves within, they're unable to get still. They're unable to abide silence, and therefore they create a lot of activity, a lot of chaos, and a lot of movement, and all these different things in their life that don't really serve them. What I want to talk to you today about is how to go within and go into this place so that you can actually hear that inner voice. That voice that will guide you, it'll show you your purpose, it'll tell you the things that you need to hear. I don't know about you, but when I started to do this, I grew up in a home where they would say, well, if you've got a problem, you should just go pray about it. The problem was, I had these broken stories about myself. I thought I was a horrible, rotten, awful person. And whenever I got quiet, my physical body, it was out of whack. It was jacked up. It was, I was taking all these substances and I wasn't resting enough and I was pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And whenever I got quiet, I tried to sit down, I'd either try to meditate or try to pray. And I was inundated with my own shame and all this feeling of not being good enough and not being worthy, and my physical body was jacked up and I wanted all this stimulation. I wanted noise because I had noise within. And what I'm going to teach you in this series is how to take a place like this that's full of noise and chaos and movement and motion, because this is the world we live in. And I want to teach you how to go within and find that quiet. I talk about these laws of power, that they are these irrefutable laws of power, as I call them, because they're self-evident. And when you can experience this for yourself and you learn to go into that quiet place, it becomes self-evident to you that it serves you. So you might take this, if you prefer a religious context, you might take this into a religious context, which is fantastic. And some people are going to go and they're going to find this quiet within them by going into nature or by going surfing. If you haven't surfed, if you have surfed, you know what I mean. There's that moment of, it's pure. It's just, there's no other word for it. You might find it there. You might find this by serving. You might find this through music. You might find this through going on walks or through meditation. There's lots of different ways to find this place of stillness. So what I'm going to invite you to do is start to explore these principles that I'm going to teach you. I want you to sample this and see what works for you. Because when you reach that, when you experience the one that works for you, it becomes self-evident to you, and it will speak to you, and it becomes the place where you can go and access your power. The confidence for you to move forward and do things that you haven't done before, do things you're afraid to do, and do things that you feel called to do in your own life. In my opinion, it has to start with a foundation of a quiet soul. Because when you start to engage on your journey, all of this is going to show up. All this craziness, all this chaos, all this noise, it's going to circle around you. And it's going to do everything it can do to throw you off purpose. When you know how to go back to this place and get quiet, you have the confidence to be calm within the storm.